Hey guys, welcome to Black Coffee Builds. My name is Henry. So my wife and I recently returned from vacation and we found some art that we liked, which I don't think I can show you because of copyright infringement, but there are a few works from Georgia O'Keeffe if you're wondering. So we bought the pictures, but we didn't have any frames to put them in. So today I'm going to make a few simple frames that look great, and I'm going to show you guys every step along the way, as well as some mistakes I made so I can hopefully help you avoid the same pitfalls. So without further delay, let's get started on these picture frames. So for my frames, I decided to use some 3/4 inch pine scraps I had lying around, but you can use whatever kind of wood you want. I lowered the table saw blade so it was just above the thickness of the wood. And then I ripped the boards down to a 2-inch width. After ripping down the boards to a 2-inch width, I then adjusted my table saw's miter gauge to a 45-degree angle to cut miters in all of the boards. As you can see, I'm sort of just freehanding it here. In retrospect, I should have used my table saw's fence as a guide for my miter cuts. The length of your boards will depend on the size of your picture and whether or not you're going to use a mat around the edge of your picture. For simplicity's sake, I'm going to make a frame for a picture without a mat, and for that I will mark the length about a 1/4 inch shy of the picture's length on the shorter miter. The reason you measure shy of the actual picture length is because you need to account for the rabbets that will be cut into the frame to hold the picture in place. Once you've cut one side of the frame, use that piece as a reference to make the next cut by using a pencil line for an exact match. I had a little trouble getting perfect 45-degree angles with the miter gauge that my table saw came with. So if you come across this problem, here's a little trick to help you get a better miter cut. So push the speed square up against the miter saw fence. Then adjust the angle of the miter saw until the blade is parallel with the hypotenuse of the speed square, like you see me doing here. Lock the blade in place, and then you're going to be cutting perfect miters every time. The next step is going to be cutting out a slight chamfer on the inside of the frame. Using this digital angle reader, I'm going to adjust the table saw blade 15 degrees off of 90. I pushed the table saw fence so it's about a 1/2 inch away from the blade, and I used a couple feather boards to help assist with the cut. The next step I took was to cut a rabbet into the frame. In retrospect, I should have cut the rabbet first before the chamfer, and I should have cut it deeper, but hindsight is 20/20. Once you've finished making the cuts, you just want to sand down the pieces and then you can start the glue up. For gluing, strap clamps and painter's tape can be really helpful. You definitely can get away with other types of clamps if you don't have strap clamps though. Once the glue is dried, take the frame out of the clamps and sand down any residual glue. Once the glued frame is all sanded, you're ready to start staining. I use the Australian timber oil that I've used on previous projects. I think it looks really nice and I want to use it up, but you can use whatever type of stain you want. I applied 2 coats of stain. I would do at least that much, but you definitely could do more. After I finished staining, I moved on to adding polyurethane. I used a matte, water-based polyurethane. This adds some protection and a little bit of shine, but it's not quite as glossy as some oil-based polyurethanes. After each coat of polyurethane, sand the frame lightly with a paper bag like what you might find at a grocery store. The next step is to cut the acrylic down to the size of the rabbit in the picture frame. Be sure to wear eye, mouth, and nose protection for this step because this stuff is nasty. Once the acrylic is cut, you can take the protective coating off. Next, you're going to want to wipe down the acrylic with a microfiber cloth. Be patient because this is going to take a while. Any and all dust is going to be attracted to the acrylic. Unless you have a frame point driver, the next step is going to be to drill pilot holes for the nails, which are going to help keep the acrylic picture and mat held in place. Next, you're going to screw in the picture hangers. And once you finish that, you're going to tie a wire around each loop. You don't have to use any sort of special knot. Just make sure you tie each loop tight so that the wire is taut. The final step is just to decide where you want the picture, to pound in a nail, and to hang the picture. And after that, you're done. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments how this project turned out for you. Links to some of the materials I used can be found down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, and if you want to see more content like this, consider subscribing. I'll see you guys on the next project right here on Black Coffee Builds.